My name is Nina Hale, and I was 35 years old when I realized that love can disappear quietly, like the sound of a phone that never gets answered. My mother had been sick for months. Between hospital visits and work, I felt like I was living in two worlds, one of monitors and antiseptic air, and another where my husband, Ethan, complained that I wasn't around anymore. He hated hospitals, said they smelled like endings. That night, I got the call. Mrs. Hale, your mother's taken a turn for the worse. You should come soon. Ethan was halfway through dinner. Can't it wait till morning? He asked, wiping his mouth. No, I said, already grabbing my keys. It can't. He sighed. You're overreacting again, Nina. You always panic. And then he went back to eating. The empty seat. The drive to the hospital felt endless. Every traffic light was a reminder that I was going alone. When I reached her room, my mother was still conscious, her breathing shallow. You made it, she whispered, smiling faintly. I'll always come, Mom, I said, taking her hand. We talked for an hour. Small things, memories, things I didn't know would become last words. When she drifted to sleep, I texted Ethan. She's stable for now. You can come tomorrow. He didn't reply. At 3 a.m., she was gone. Silence. I sat in that cold chair until morning, the world outside beginning another day. When I finally called Ethan, his phone went to voicemail. I tried again and again. At 9 a.m., a message appeared. Sorry, my phone was on silent. How's your mom? I stared at the screen. My mother was gone, and he'd slept through it. I typed back, she died. At 3. I was alone. He didn't call, just replied. I didn't know. I'm sorry. 2 days later, he showed up late, smelling faintly of cologne and guilt. During the service, he stood beside me like a stranger. When people offered condolences, he kept checking his phone. Afterward, as I folded the sympathy cards into a box, he said softly, You've been so distant lately. I looked at him. You weren't there, Ethan. I didn't know how to help, he said, frustrated. You always act like you don't need me. I wanted to tell him that needing someone isn't weakness, that it's a bridge that has to be crossed from both sides. But I was too tired to teach that lesson again. A week later, I packed a small bag and went to stay with my cousin for a while. He didn't try to stop me. Before I left a note on the counter. Love isn't about showing up when it's easy. It's about staying when it's hard. Then I slipped my wedding ring beside it. When I reached the parking lot, the morning light was breaking through the clouds. For the first time in months, I felt something close to peace. The first morning in my cousin's spare room felt strangely empty. No sound of Ethan's alarm, no quiet resentment filling the kitchen, just stillness. I spent the first few days helping my cousin in her small flower shop downtown. I'd never arranged flowers before, but there was something healing about it. How every stem had to be trimmed, how the blooms had to be balanced, how even the smallest cut could make something more beautiful. Customers came and went, carrying colors out into the gray city, and every evening, when I closed the shop, my hands smelled faintly of lilies. It was a different kind of therapy, the kind you don't talk about, the kind that grows quietly between the cracks of grief. One evening, I received a message from Ethan. "I've been thinking about what happened. I wish I'd been there. Can we talk?" I stared at the screen for a long time. Maybe 6 months earlier, I would have answered right away. But that woman, the one who waited for someone to show up, wasn't me anymore. I typed slowly, "I'm not angry, but I can't go back to pretending it's okay." And then I turned my phone face down and went back to trimming stems. Weeks passed. My cousin teased that I'd become the quiet one who smiles at roses. She wasn't wrong. I still missed my mother every day, but now I carried her lessons instead of my pain. One evening, an older woman came into the shop. She wanted a bouquet for a daughter I haven't spoken to in years. As I wrapped the flowers, I said gently, "It's never too late to call." She looked up at me surprised, then nodded. After she left, I realized I'd spoken to myself, too. I went home that night and packed away my mother's last hospital bracelet. It wasn't a relic anymore. It was a reminder of how far I'd come. Months later, I signed a lease on a tiny apartment above the flower shop. The first thing I put on the wall was my mother's favorite quote, written in her handwriting. "Don't wait for someone to hold your hand. Learn to hold your own." Sometimes, when customers asked about it, I'd tell them it came from someone who taught me what love really means, being present. One Sunday morning, my phone rang. His name lit up the screen. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity, or closure, won. He sounded softer. "I heard you opened your own shop." "I help run one," I corrected. "That's great. You sound happy." "I am." There was silence for a long moment. Then he said, "I'm sorry, Nina. I really am." "I know, but sorry doesn't fix absence." When the call ended, I felt no anger, just release. The next morning, I walked into the shop early and opened the window blinds. Sunlight spilled across the counter, lighting up the flowers waiting to be arranged. I smiled and whispered, "We made it, Mom." And for the first time, I didn't feel alone.